The crash landing. In the vast expanse of space, where stars twinkled like diamonds against a velvet backdrop, Commander Jareth sat in the control room of the Starbreaker, a formidable warship of the Galactic Alliance. His crew was busy with routine checks as they cruised through the Orion sector, unaware of the impending danger lurking in the shadows of space. "Commander, we've detected 3 enemy vessels approaching." Lieutenant Myra's voice pierced through the calm atmosphere like a bolt of lightning. Jareth's heart raced as he straightened in his chair. "Status report," he barked, gripping the armrests tightly. "They're Drachnid ships," Tarek, the chief engineer, shouted over the comms. "They're charging their weapons." "Evasive maneuvers," Jareth ordered. The Starbreaker swerved sharply, but it was too late. The first blast from an ion cannon struck their hull with a violent jolt that sent sparks flying across the control room. "Shields at 60% and dropping," Mira exclaimed as she frantically monitored the readings. "They're using phase disruption cannons. Return fire," Jareth commanded, but their shots glanced harmlessly off the reinforced hulls of their adversaries. The Drachnids had them outnumbered and outgunned. "Fusion core is destabilizing," Tarek shouted over the chaos. "We need to land somewhere now or we'll have a breach." Jareth scanned their surroundings desperately. A small blue planet appeared on his screen, Earth. It was primitive but offered a glimmer of hope for an emergency landing. "Plot course for that planet," he ordered. "Find us somewhere isolated." As they entered Earth's atmosphere, it felt like a roller coaster ride gone wrong. Turbulence rocked the ship violently. They crashed into what later turned out to be a cornfield, carving through rows of crops before finally coming to rest amidst scattered debris. The crew emerged from the wreckage, shaken but alive. Jareth surveyed their surroundings, a vast expanse of yellow-green plants under an azure sky. "Well, crew," he announced with a mix of relief and disbelief, "welcome to your new temporary home." As they began to assess their situation, an unexpected figure approached, the local farmer named Eli Henderson. He was driving a bright green tractor that rumbled like thunder across the field. With a coffee mug in one hand and a wrench in another, he looked more curious than afraid. "What in tarnation is that?" Eli muttered as he parked his tractor and approached cautiously. Jareth watched through cracked windows as Eli circled their ship like an intrigued child examining a strange toy. "He doesn't seem scared at all," Mira observed. "He's taking notes," Tarek added incredulously as they watched Eli scribble something in his notebook while sipping from his mug. When Eli reached the exposed engine housing of their warship, he whistled appreciatively. "Now that's some interesting machinery you got there," he exclaimed. Mira raised an eyebrow at her commanding officer. "He can't possibly understand our technology." But before they could dismiss him entirely, Eli pulled out what looked like a sonic welder from among their debris and activated it without hesitation. "Wait. How does he know how to use that?" Tarek whispered in shock. Jareth made an executive decision: open the main hatch. As it hissed open, Eli didn't flinch. Instead, he looked up and nodded as if meeting aliens was just another day on the farm. "You might want to stabilize that plasma conduit before it ruptures," he suggested casually while inspecting their systems with keen interest. Jareth exchanged glances with his crew. This human farmer was unlike anyone they had ever encountered before. He seemed to possess an innate understanding of machinery that transcended worlds. "How do you know all this?" Jareth asked curiously as Eli began examining various components inside their ship. Eli shrugged nonchalantly. "Machines are machines, they all work on similar principles. You just gotta figure out what's broken and fix it." Jareth was taken aback by such simplicity yet profound wisdom from this earthling farmer. "And you think you can help us?" Eli grinned widely. "Sure thing. Just let me take a look at your engine room." As they led him inside their ship's repair bay, a place filled with advanced technology, Eli's eyes sparkled with excitement rather than fear or intimidation. "What are you doing?" Tarek asked incredulously as Eli rummaged through their tools. "Just figuring out how things work," Eli replied cheerfully while pulling out various items from his pockets, a few bolts and pieces of scrap metal from his tractor. The crew watched in amazement as Eli began improvising repairs using parts they had never considered before, his creativity turning chaos into order right before their eyes. Little did they know that this farmer would soon become an integral part of their journey, a legend who would bridge two worlds through ingenuity and collaboration. The unexpected visitor. A curious encounter. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the cornfield, Eli Henderson wiped his brow and took a deep breath. He had just finished a long day of work on his farm, but the sight of the wreckage in front of him was unlike anything he had ever encountered. The Starbreaker, a ship that looked like it had come straight from a science fiction movie, lay sprawled across his field, smoke curling into the air. Eli approached cautiously, his heart racing with a mix of excitement and apprehension. He had heard stories of strange lights in the sky and mysterious sounds at night, but nothing could have prepared him for this moment. As he neared the ship, he noticed figures moving inside, aliens, perhaps? "Hey there!" Eli called out, waving his hand. "You folks all right?" First impressions. Inside the Starbreaker, Commander Jareth exchanged glances with his crew. They were still reeling from the crash and trying to assess their situation when they heard the voice of the farmer outside. "Who is that?" Mira asked, peering through a cracked viewport. "I don't know," Jareth replied, "but we should find out." With a deep breath, Jareth activated the ship's hatch. The heavy metal door hissed open, revealing Eli standing there, hands on his hips and an expression that was equal parts curiosity and concern. "Wow! You really did a number on my cornfield," Eli remarked with a chuckle. "What in the world are you?" Jareth stepped forward, trying to project authority despite their precarious situation. "I am Commander Jareth of the Galactic Alliance. Our ship was attacked and crash-landed here." Eli's eyes widened in disbelief. "Galactic Alliance? You mean you're from outer space?" "Indeed," Jareth confirmed, glancing back at his crew who were still recovering from the shock of their situation. "We need assistance to repair our ship. Bridging two worlds." Eli scratched his head, trying to process what he was hearing. "Well, I'm no engineer or anything, but I know my way around machines. I can help if you tell me what you need." Jareth felt a flicker of hope. "We appreciate any help you can offer," he said cautiously. As Eli stepped inside the Starbreaker, he marveled at the advanced technology surrounding him. He had seen tractors and combines in his life but nothing like this. The walls were lined with blinking lights and screens displaying incomprehensible data. "Looks like you've got quite a mess here," Eli said as he inspected the engine room filled with tools that seemed foreign to him. Tarek, the chief engineer, approached nervously. "We need to stabilize our fusion core before it breaches. Do you have any tools that could help?" An earthly solution. Eli's eyes lit up as he thought of something back at his farm. "I might have just the thing. Follow me." Without waiting for an answer, he dashed out of the Starbreaker and hopped onto his tractor, which was parked nearby. Jareth and Tarek exchanged puzzled looks but followed him nonetheless. Eli drove to a small shed behind his house where he kept various tools for farming. He rummaged through boxes until he found what he was looking for, a heavy-duty hydraulic jack. "This should help stabilize your core," Eli explained as he loaded it onto his tractor. Back at the ship, Eli worked alongside Tarek to set up the jack beneath the fusion core while Jareth observed closely. "You really think this will work?" Tarek asked skeptically. "Trust me," Eli replied confidently as he began to operate the jack. With careful adjustments and a bit of elbow grease, they managed to stabilize the core just in time. A growing friendship. As they worked together over the next few hours, Eli shared stories about his life on Earth, how he grew up on a farm, learned to fix machinery from his father, and how much he loved working with his hands. "You know," Jareth said thoughtfully as they took a break for water, "you have an impressive understanding of machines for someone from such a primitive world." Eli chuckled modestly. "I guess you could say I'm just good at figuring things out." Their camaraderie grew as they exchanged knowledge, Jareth explaining advanced technology while Eli shared practical solutions that came from years of experience on Earth. "You see," Eli said while tightening bolts on one of their engines, "it's all about understanding how things work together. The power of collaboration." With each passing hour, more members of Jareth's crew began to join in on repairs under Eli's guidance. They were amazed at how easily he adapted their advanced technology into something more manageable using simple Earth tools and concepts. "Can you believe this?" Mira said to Tarek as they watched Eli demonstrate how to use duct tape for sealing leaks in their fuel lines, a technique that seemed absurd yet effective. "Remarkable," Tarek admitted with newfound respect for their unexpected ally. As night fell over the cornfield, illuminated only by stars above and flickering lights from their ship, Jareth felt a sense of hope swell within him. They were no longer just aliens stranded on an unknown planet. They were forming an alliance with this human farmer who had turned out to be more resourceful than anyone could have imagined. A new dawn. The next morning brought renewed energy as Eli arrived early with breakfast, a simple meal consisting of eggs and bacon cooked on an old camp stove. "This is how we do it on Earth," Eli said with a grin. "Fuel up before another long day." Jareth couldn't help but smile back as he realized that this human farmer had become an integral part of their mission, not just as a mechanic but as a friend who bridged two worlds together through ingenuity and collaboration. As they sat together sharing stories over breakfast, they couldn't shake off the feeling that this encounter would change not only their lives but also shape future interactions between humans and beings from other galaxies. Little did they know that this partnership would lead them towards something far greater than mere repairs. It would forge legends across galaxies and create bonds that transcended space itself. Unlikely repairs. A new beginning. As dawn broke over the cornfield, the sun bathed the Starbreaker in a warm, golden light. Eli Henderson stood outside, coffee mug in hand, marveling at the sight of the warship that had crash-landed in his field. The previous day had been a whirlwind of activity and discovery, and he felt a sense of purpose as he prepared for another day of repairs alongside Commander Jareth and his crew. Inside the ship, Jareth gathered his team for a morning briefing. "Today, we need to focus on stabilizing our systems and preparing for potential rescue," he said, his voice steady. "Eli has proven to be an invaluable asset. We need to harness his knowledge and creativity." The crew nodded in agreement, still amazed at how Eli had managed to repair their fusion core using nothing but a hydraulic jack and some improvised techniques. Tarek, the chief engineer, was particularly eager to see what other earthly innovations Eli could bring to their advanced technology. Earthly ingenuity. Eli entered the ship with a toolbox slung over his shoulder, ready to tackle whatever challenges lay ahead. "What's on the agenda today?" he asked with a grin. "We need to repair our shield generator," Tarek explained, gesturing towards a complex array of circuits and conduits that looked like a tangled web of colorful wires. "It's crucial for our defense." Eli examined the generator closely, scratching his chin thoughtfully. "Looks like you've got a lot going on here," he said. "Back on my farm, I've dealt with plenty of irrigation systems that have similar principles." "Really?" Jareth asked, intrigued. "How so?" "Well," Eli began, "when there's a drought, we have to manage water flow carefully. If you can control how much energy is distributed here like I do with water on my farm, you might just save your shields." A creative solution. With newfound determination, Eli set to work alongside Tarek and Jareth. They discussed various strategies for managing energy flow while Eli pulled out parts from his toolbox, items that seemed utterly mundane to the crew but were filled with potential. First things first, Eli said as he rummaged through his supplies. We need to create a bypass system that can handle fluctuations in energy without blowing out your circuits. Using some copper wire from his toolbox and an old car battery he had brought along, Eli crafted an improvised system that would redirect energy flow more efficiently. Tarek watched in awe as Eli explained each step of his process. See? It's all about understanding how things work together, Eli said confidently as he connected wires and secured them with duct tape, an earth product that had become a staple in their repairs. The power of duct tape. As they worked together, Jareth couldn't help but chuckle at how something as simple as duct tape was transforming their ship's systems. I never thought I'd be relying on Earth materials to fix an advanced warship, he admitted. Eli laughed back. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the best ones. You'd be surprised how many problems duct tape can solve. After hours of collaborative effort filled with laughter and camaraderie, they finally completed the bypass system for the shield generator. Tarek powered it up cautiously, holding his breath as lights flickered across the control panel. It's working! Tarek exclaimed as readings stabilized on the display. Jareth clapped Eli on the back. You've done it again. This is remarkable work. A growing bond. As days turned into weeks, Eli's presence aboard the Starbreaker became more than just that of a mechanic. He was now part of their family, a bridge between two worlds. The crew grew accustomed to his quirky humor and unconventional methods. One evening after a long day of repairs, they gathered around a makeshift dinner table inside the ship, an old crate covered with a tarp, and shared stories about their respective homes. Back on Earth, Eli began while passing around plates of food he had prepared from supplies scavenged from their wreckage. We have this thing called a county fair every summer. It's all about showcasing local produce and livestock. Mira leaned forward with interest. What do you showcase? Oh, everything. From giant pumpkins to prize-winning pigs, Eli replied enthusiastically. It's all about community spirit and celebrating hard work. Lessons learned. As they shared laughter and stories under the soft glow of emergency lights aboard their ship, Jareth realized how much they had learned from each other, how different worlds could come together through shared experiences. Your way of life is fascinating, Jareth said thoughtfully after hearing about Earth traditions. I never imagined I would find inspiration here among humans. Eli smiled warmly. And I never thought I'd be fixing spaceships with aliens. Life has its funny twists. The bond between them deepened each day as they continued working side by side, Eli teaching them practical solutions while they shared knowledge about advanced technology. The final touches. As their repairs progressed further, they faced one last challenge, restoring their main weapon system which had been severely damaged during the crash landing. We need to find a way to recalibrate our targeting computer, Jareth announced during another team meeting. Eli raised an eyebrow. What if we used some components from my grandson's old video game console? It has motion tracking capabilities. The crew exchanged skeptical glances but decided to trust Eli once more. After all, he had proven himself time and time again. With determination in his eyes, Eli disappeared into his barn again for 2 days while Jareth and Tarek worked on other systems within the ship. When he returned with an array of parts, digital cameras from his garage and pieces from various gaming devices, the crew was astonished at what he had managed to gather. A new targeting system. Eli set up his makeshift targeting system in front of them and began explaining how it would work. This system can track moving objects in space just like my grandson's video games track targets when shooting at them. The crew watched intently as Eli assembled everything together with precision and confidence. After hours of tinkering and testing various configurations, they finally powered up the new system. Let's give it a shot. Tarek suggested eagerly. With bated breath, they aimed at distant targets set up outside the ship, a few old barrels left over from their supplies, and activated their new targeting computer. To everyone's astonishment, it worked flawlessly, tracking targets with precision that surpassed even their original systems. A legend in the making. As cheers erupted inside the Starbreaker, Jareth felt an overwhelming sense of pride wash over him, not just for restoring their ship but for forging an unbreakable bond with Eli Henderson. "You've turned this ship into something extraordinary," Jareth said sincerely as he clapped Eli on the shoulder. Eli grinned widely. "Just remember, it takes teamwork to make dreams work." Little did they know that this partnership would soon become legendary across galaxies, a tale of collaboration between an alien warship crew and an Earth farmer who dared to think outside the box. As they prepared for their next journey together into unknown territories beyond Earth's atmosphere, Jareth couldn't help but feel optimistic about what lay ahead, adventures filled with challenges but also endless possibilities fueled by creativity and friendship. Building a bridge. A new challenge. The days turned into weeks aboard the Starbreaker, and Eli Henderson had become an integral part of the crew. The ship, once a symbol of advanced alien technology, was now a patchwork of Earth ingenuity and galactic engineering. As they continued to make progress on repairs, a new challenge loomed on the horizon: communication. "Commander," Lieutenant Mira said one morning, her brow furrowed with concern. "Our communication systems are still down. We need to contact the Galactic Alliance for assistance." Jareth nodded, understanding the urgency. "Eli, do you have any ideas on how we can restore our communication systems?" he asked, turning to their earthly ally. Eli scratched his chin thoughtfully. "Well, back home, I've dealt with plenty of radios and antennas. I reckon I could help with that." The communication conundrum. As they gathered in the ship's main control room, Eli examined the remnants of their communication system strewn across the floor. "Looks like you've got some serious damage here," he said, pointing to charred wires and broken components. "Indeed," Tarek replied. "We'll need to replace several key parts to re-establish contact." Eli's eyes lit up with inspiration. "What if we used parts from my old ham radio? It's not fancy, but it might just do the trick." The crew exchanged glances, unsure of how effective a makeshift solution would be. However, with no other options available, they decided to trust Eli's instincts once again. A journey to the barn. Eli hopped onto his tractor and sped off toward his barn, leaving Jareth and his crew to ponder the potential success of their latest endeavor. Moments later, he returned with an assortment of components, wires, antennas, and even an old microphone. "All right," Eli said as he laid out the parts on a makeshift table inside the ship. "Let's see what we can do." Working side by side with Tarek and Mira, Eli began assembling a new communication system using Earth materials. He explained each step in simple terms, making it easy for Jareth and his crew to follow along. "This is just like putting together a puzzle," Eli said with enthusiasm. "You just need to find the right pieces that fit together." An unexpected connection. As they worked diligently throughout the day, Eli shared stories about his life on Earth, how he had built radios as a hobby and how important communication was for farmers like him. "Without good communication," Eli explained while connecting wires, "we wouldn't know when storms were coming or when to plant our crops." Jareth listened intently, realizing that this simple farmer had a wealth of knowledge about resilience and adaptability that transcended worlds. Finally, after hours of hard work and collaboration, they powered up their makeshift communication system. Jareth held his breath as he activated the controls. "Can you hear me?" he spoke into the microphone, his voice echoing through the ship. Static crackled in response before a faint voice emerged from the speakers. "Commander Jareth? Is that you?" The Alliance responds. The crew erupted in cheers as Jareth exchanged excited glances with Eli. They had successfully re-established contact with the Galactic Alliance. "Yes. This is Commander Jareth of the Starbreaker. We are in need of assistance." Jareth replied eagerly. The voice on the other end crackled again. "We've been searching for you. What is your status? Jareth quickly briefed them on their situation, the crash landing on Earth, their repairs with Eli's help, and their urgent need for extraction. We'll send a rescue team immediately, the voice assured him. Stay put and maintain your signal. As they ended the transmission, Jareth turned to Eli with gratitude shining in his eyes. You did it. Your ingenuity made this possible. Eli beamed with pride but quickly waved it off. It was a team effort. Just glad I could help. Strengthening bonds. With communication restored and rescue on its way, the crew took time to reflect on their journey together. They gathered around a makeshift campfire outside the ship one evening, sharing stories under a blanket of stars. I never imagined I would find myself stranded on a primitive planet, Jareth admitted as he gazed at the flickering flames. Primitive? You mean beautiful? Eli interjected playfully. This place has its own charm. Mira smiled at Eli's enthusiasm. You've shown us that there's more than one way to approach a problem. Their conversations flowed easily as they discussed everything from farming techniques to galactic politics. Each story shared forged deeper connections between them, an alliance built not just on necessity but on mutual respect and understanding. Preparing for departure. As days passed and rescue grew near, they focused on finalizing repairs and preparing for departure. Tarek worked tirelessly alongside Eli to ensure everything was in working order while Jareth coordinated logistics for their return to space. Once we're back in orbit, Jareth explained during another meeting with his crew, we'll need to regroup with our fleet and report back on our findings here. Eli nodded thoughtfully. And don't forget about me. I'd love to hear about your adventures out there. Jareth chuckled at Eli's enthusiasm. We'll make sure to keep you updated. A farewell celebration. On their last night before departure, Jareth organized a small celebration aboard the Starbreaker. They gathered around tables filled with food prepared by Eli, an assortment of dishes that showcased Earth's culinary delights. This is my way of saying thank you, Eli said as he served everyone homemade apple pie, a recipe passed down through generations. As they enjoyed their meal together under the stars, laughter echoed through the ship, a sound that resonated with joy and camaraderie. I never thought I'd be eating pie with aliens, Eli remarked playfully while taking a bite. And I never thought I'd be learning so much from a farmer, Jareth replied sincerely. The legend begins. As night fell over Earth's landscape once more, Jareth felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for what they had accomplished together. They had transformed not only their ship but also their understanding of collaboration across worlds. Little did they know that this journey would become legendary, a tale told throughout galaxies about how an alien warship crashed on Earth and how one human farmer turned it into something extraordinary. With rescue imminent and hearts full of hope for future adventures together, they prepared for their next chapter, one that would bridge two worlds forever. The legend begins. A new dawn. As the sun rose over the horizon, casting a warm golden light across the cornfield, the crew of the Starbreaker prepared for their next chapter. With their communication systems restored and repairs nearly complete, excitement buzzed in the air. Eli Henderson, the human farmer who had become an unexpected ally, stood outside the ship, coffee mug in hand, watching as the crew moved with purpose. Today's the day we get back into space, Jareth announced, his voice filled with determination. Thanks to all of you, and especially to Eli, we're ready to make our move. Eli smiled, his heart swelling with pride. He had never imagined that his skills as a farmer would lead him to assist a crew of aliens in repairing their warship. I can't wait to see you all take off, he said. Just remember to come back and tell me about your adventures. Final preparations. Inside the ship, Tarek and Mira were finalizing adjustments to the navigation systems while Jareth oversaw the last checks on their engines. Eli wandered through the ship one last time, admiring how it had transformed from a wreck into a functional vessel. Everything looks great. Eli called out as he approached Tarek. That new targeting system you built is impressive. Tarek beamed at the compliment. We couldn't have done it without your help, Eli. Your understanding of basic principles has made all the difference. As they wrapped up their final preparations, Jareth gathered everyone in the control room for a brief meeting. I want to take a moment to acknowledge what we've accomplished together, he said, looking around at his crew and Eli. This mission was supposed to be about delivering vital information to our headquarters. Instead, it turned into something much more significant, a partnership that transcends worlds. The launch sequence. With everyone in position, Jareth initiated the launch sequence. The engines roared to life, filling the ship with vibrations that resonated through their bodies. Eli watched in awe as lights flickered and screens illuminated around him. Prepare for takeoff. Jareth commanded, gripping the controls tightly. As they lifted off from the cornfield, Eli felt a mix of exhilaration and sadness. He was saying goodbye to this strange yet beautiful encounter but was also excited for what lay ahead for his new friends. The Starbreaker ascended into the sky, leaving behind a trail of dust and memories. Eli waved goodbye as they disappeared into the clouds above. A journey through space. Once they were clear of Earth's atmosphere, Jareth and his crew took a moment to breathe in relief. They were finally back in space, an expanse filled with possibilities and adventures waiting to unfold. Set course for Alliance headquarters, Jareth instructed Plex, their navigator. As they traveled through the stars, Mira turned to Eli with curiosity. What do you think you'll do now that we're gone? Eli shrugged but smiled warmly. I'll keep working on my farm and maybe tell some stories about my alien friends who came from the stars. Jareth chuckled at that thought. You'll be more than just a story, you'll be a legend. The first encounter. Days passed as they journeyed through space, and during one quiet evening aboard the ship, Jareth decided it was time to share their story with others in the Galactic Alliance. Let's prepare a report about our mission, he suggested during dinner. We need to highlight Eli's contributions and how his ingenuity saved us. The crew eagerly agreed as they began drafting their report together, detailing their crash landing on Earth, Eli's remarkable skills in repairing advanced technology using simple Earth materials, and how they forged an unbreakable bond during their time together. Imagine how this will change perceptions of humans, Mira said excitedly. They'll see them not just as primitive beings but as valuable allies. Arrival at headquarters. After several more days of travel, they finally arrived at Alliance headquarters, a bustling hub of activity filled with ships from various planets and species. As they docked at their designated bay, excitement buzzed among the crew. Welcome back, greeted Commander Vex Thor as he stepped aboard their ship. His eyes widened in disbelief when he saw Eli standing among them. Who is this? Vex asked curiously. This is Eli Henderson, Jareth introduced proudly. He helped us repair our ship after we crash-landed on Earth. Eli extended his hand confidently toward Vex. Nice to meet you. I hear you've got quite an operation here. Vex shook his hand firmly and smiled. It's not every day we meet someone who can repair a warship using parts from a tractor. Sharing their story. Gathered in a conference room filled with high-ranking officers from across the Galactic Alliance, Jareth took center stage alongside his crew and Eli. We stand here today not just as survivors of an unfortunate event but as pioneers of intergalactic cooperation, Jareth began passionately. Our mission was altered by an unexpected encounter with a human farmer who revolutionized our understanding of engineering. As he spoke about their experiences on Earth, the challenges they faced and how Eli's creativity led them to success, the room filled with murmurs of amazement. Eli shared anecdotes about his time aboard the Starbreaker, explaining how he used everyday items from his farm to solve complex problems faced by advanced technology. I never thought I'd be fixing spaceships, Eli said with a grin. But sometimes you just have to look at things differently. A new perspective. The officers listened intently as Jareth concluded their presentation by emphasizing how important it was to recognize potential allies, even those from seemingly primitive worlds. "This experience has taught us that knowledge knows no boundaries," Jareth stated firmly. "We must embrace collaboration across all civilizations if we are to thrive together." Afterward, discussions erupted among officers about establishing formal relations with Earth, a planet previously overlooked due to its lack of advanced technology. Eli felt an overwhelming sense of pride knowing that he had played a part in changing perceptions about humanity within this vast galaxy. The legacy continues. As celebrations erupted following their successful report, Eli realized that this was just the beginning of something extraordinary, not only for himself but for humanity as well. Jareth approached him amid the festivities and said earnestly, "You've changed our lives forever, Eli. Your story will resonate throughout galaxies." Eli smiled humbly but felt deep down that this was more than just his story, it was a tale of unity, a reminder that even across vast distances and differences in technology or culture, collaboration could lead to incredible achievements. As laughter echoed around them and new friendships blossomed between humans and aliens alike, Eli knew that he had become part of something much larger than himself, a legend born from unexpected circumstances that would inspire countless others for generations to come.